Hello and welcome back. This is the social listening segment here on the BDTV Breakfast Show, and this is where we get to analyze top trends making the rounds across social media. My name is Elizabeth Musa, and joining me in the studio this morning is, of course, Mr. Obidike Okafor, our in-house analyst when it comes to social issues. How are you doing today?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Very good to have you. How's the baby?
Baby's fine.
Let's start up today with discussions surrounding the death of the Catholic pontiff, Pope Francis, who passed on at age 88. On Easter Monday, the Cardinal Kevin Farrell Camelango of the Holy Roman Church announced the death of Pope Francis from the Casa Santa Marta. Pope Francis was admitted to the Agostino Gemelli Polyclinic Hospital on Friday, February 14, 2025, after suffering from a bout of bronchitis for several days. Now, the Pope's clinical situation gradually worsened, and the doctors diagnosed bilateral pneumonia on Tuesday, February 18. However, the passing of the Pope has brought mixed reactions across social media, with discussions around the way he lived his life and who will be taking over. Those are the conversations making the rounds on social media. While it's a little bit of a sad one to lose the Pope, I mean, I think he did live his life. I mean, that's 88 years. That was quite a while. So I think we could call it a celebration of life.
Yeah, well, if you ask me, I think he he could still have lived longer due to health issues, which, when you get older, it's important to take care of your health. But, sometimes popes are more focused on, thinking about the people, praying for the people. So they focus more on the outside than the inside. And sometimes I think consciously or unconsciously they become unaware of, their health might be deteriorating until it gets to a certain point. But that is what it shows how selfless. When you're a pope, you have to be selfless. And for me, it's just an example of his selflessness, where he wasn't thinking about his health or his well-being, and he was focused on others. Right. It's a sad one, but
I mean, it's a huge loss for the papacy, also just Christians around the world.
Yes.
But let's see some of the reactions on social media on this story. That's a comment from Crypto Terry. It says Pope Francis inspired compassion and reform through its progressive vision. Though his progressive vision met strong opposition within the church, he has a complex legacy. Interesting one from Crypto Terry. Ramesh says, my deepest condolences to Catholics around the world on the passing of Pope Francis. His life of humility, compassion, and faith touched millions. I agree. TK says, a true saint, and what incredible leadership and service to the end. Pope Francis is the man more to be prayed to than for. Rest in peace, your burden is lifted. That's from TK. Birdie says, rest on Pope Francis, but I still think supporting the LGBTQ was a nasty move, knowing it will cause confusion. And those are some of the reactions on social media. But I mean, at the end of the day, when people pass on, I think at the end of the day, whatever conversation people are having, it's always just about the legacy the person is leaving behind.
I agree.
It's always just about legacy.
I agree. There is no pope without controversies, but I don't think most of the things people are calling controversies, I don't really see them as controversies. I just see them as, when people forget some things, which is because, there's a strong standpoint against, the LGBTQ community, homosexuality, and all of that. But even Jesus wouldn't have thrown them out as an outcast. You can see in the example in the Bible where a lady was accused of being a prostitute. Normally, people look down on people in that area, and the lady came and was cleaning Jesus' feet and all of that. And Jesus, was like, when I came, did you wash my feet? Did you clean my feet and all of that? Jesus has taught us as Christians to embrace everybody, irrespective of color,
They
skin,
are.
sexual orientation, whatever it is. But I think to a great extent, Christians, Catholics, and non-Catholics have, to a great extent, become so self-righteous that the minute they hear LGBTQ and they just push them away. All the Pope was trying to do was to draw everybody in, because it's only when people are closer to you that you can have the opportunity to speak to them and they will listen to you. But when you push people away and you try to speak to them, you push them away, why do they listen to you? So that's all the Pope was trying to do, was trying to bring people together and then, speak truth, speak his truth concerning, Christianity to them. And then people got all twisted and were like, he was trying to, controversial. There's nothing controversial about it. What he did was, in my own eyes and to my own perspective, what he did was very Christian. And is what is expected of all of us. Not to discriminate.
Right, not to discriminate, but we have to move on. Interestingly, the conversations we're having today are sort of bordering around religious leaders, but this one is on a lighter note. Now, Tunde Bakare, the 7th overseer of the Citadel Global Community Church, has asked President Bola Tinubu to accept advice and stop playing God. Speaking on Sunday during a State of the Nation broadcast at the church in Lagos, Bakare said the president should implement a coordinated program to steer Nigeria out of its current crisis. Now, the cleric said Nigerians have prayed long enough for the country to improve, while he went on to dismiss further calls for prayers as nothing more than a mere religious ritual. He also said that Nigerian leaders need to act urgently to prevent the country from descending into a mafia state. Wow, interesting. Do you see us descending into a mafia state? Do you see that happening? Yeah, like, has it gotten to that?
I don't think that's gotten to that. And let me be funny. And we pray. Since we said we should stop praying. And we pray it doesn't get to that.
State. So mafia state, I'll be like, oh, really? Wow, we're there. But let's see some of the reactions on social media. But one thing, I think that it's good for, to see religious leaders sometimes just be vocal about these things. What happens is, I understand the need for everyone to be like open, but what happens is we need to keep speaking truth to power, and it's with the any position that we get to hold, any position where we get to, whether it starts from the little things, and then when you get to that position, and then you cannot say, if you see something that is bad, it's bad, you have to speak it. I mean, sometimes you have to be diplomatic about it, but you have to speak it. And I think it's good to just see him, speak up. But let's see if we could watch the video. It's possible to watch the video, just take some of the comments. So Kehinde says, with due respect to Pastor Tunde Bakare's calling, Baba is a failed politician that wants to use the manipulation of the pulpit to get to power. But God is no man. The National Assembly is performing her constitutional responsibility. Don't add official, that's the handle of the president. Don't add President Bola Tinubu to the criticism. Oh, interesting, of National Assembly. Jimmy Michael says, Tunde Bakare wants to sabotage the government with his words. His assumption was wrong because no job for him again in Abuja, and he knows that his records of all contracts he has collected will be checked thoroughly. EFCC needs to visit him for check and balance. It's always interesting to see what people are saying. Patriots, Emmanuel 24087 says, where is Tunde Bakare during GMB? It was supposed to be in past tense. It says, where was Tunde Bakare during GMB's, General Muhammad Buhari's 8 years tenure? Hypocrisy everywhere. You kept mute when Lawan Senate president was adopting all bills from executive, including borrowing monies, all manners of things. Today, under Tinubu, you found your voice using the pulpit to play politics. Wow, pulpit politics, that's not something to joke about. DTJ says, this is the worst administration so far in the history of Nigeria. The country has fully become a zoo with a lot of lawlessness and constant abuse of power by people who were elected into office. They keep borrowing money without nothing to show for it. Insecurity is 100%. That's according to the TJ. Let's see if we have more reactions to this one. Well, without more reactions to it, that's how some people are reacting to the commentary by, you know, Pastor Tunde Bakare. But do you see him, like that commenter that said it's playing a little bit of pulpit politics? Do you really see that happening?
Tunde Bakare has always been vocal.
Mm-hmm.
He has always used his pulpit as a platform to address national issues. That is his style. That is his own way of doing things. It doesn't mean that is what every pastor is doing or should do. I believe that the way people have different talents is the same way that different pastors are called to address things in different ways. Mm-hmm. Right from even before the time of Tinubu, Tunde Bakare has always been critical of almost every government. I know people say he didn't say anything about Buhari because he leaned towards him, but I believe that Tunde Bakare normally uses his platform to say things about almost every government. He always has something to say. No government is perfect, and every government has its own stumbling blocks. Mm-hmm. The problem is that when the stumbling blocks become too glaring, too noticeable in everyday life, then it is a problem. Tinubu, of course, President Tinubu, when he came, he met issues on ground, and then he has tried to address them in the best way possible. But one thing we should realize is that because there is when you look at government generally, corruption has seeped into all levels of government. So no matter the president that comes in, it's what he meets on ground already. And then trying to sanitize the whole place takes time, energy, resources, and all of that. So most times when government comes, they just try to adjust and all of that. And that adjustment doesn't really help much and doesn't really address the core of the problems. So that's just basically. So Bakare will always, I can tell you that Bakare will always find a reason to complain and will always find a reason to talk. That's just simple. It's not something that will go away anytime soon.
And is that a bad thing or a good thing?
It's not a bad thing. I think sometimes the problem I have is men of God tend to, I know people say separate the state from the church. In the days of yore, when there were kings, the church had a strong influence. The government had a strong influence on the church. That's why even in the Anglican church today, God Save the King or God Save the Queen is still in the hymnal of the Anglican church, because of that influence or that cross. I still feel that the church is the moral conscience, represents the moral conscience of any country. So it shouldn't just keep quiet and not say anything. It should actually, still be that moral compass to help guide the country get to where it's supposed to go.
It should be.
I totally agree.
So. I totally agree with you. But that's how we bring it to wraps here on the social listening segment today. Thank you so much, Mr. Obidike Okafor. It's always really lovely speaking with you on the social listening segment.
Thank you.
We hope we'll have you again next time.
No problem.
Thank you very much. And that's how we bring it to wraps today. Keep watching BDTV.